Hello students, welcome back to video number 21 in our SmartPLS video series. In this video, we're going to discuss mediation. We have already covered higher order constructs. We have covered measurement models as well as structural models, the reporting process, the assessment process, etc. You can go back to our prior videos in this context. Our video today discusses mediation, direct effects, indirect effects, etc. Mediation, as you know, is a variable, a mediator variable, or mediation is a function that of interaction or facilitation of a relationship between an independent and dependent variable in SmartPLS or even other statistical softwares. Okay. We're going to just go into our PowerPoint presentation here to give you some background information about mediation before going into the real application in SmartPLS. Okay, so please stay tuned. And our fellow students, let's go here and discuss what a mediation would be. So, mediation. A mediating effect is created when a third variable will just mediate between two other variables. Okay, it would regulate or specify how a relationship would work. Maybe if I can give you an example here, let me say the impact of maybe environment on intelligence. Okay. This is, we have an independent variable and intelligence is the dependent variable. If we say money, for instance, or education goes between these two, then education will be a mediation, okay, variable. Okay, so it regulates or specifies the effect that occurs between dependent and independent construct. The independent variable has causality impact on the mediator construct that will result. So independent variable will impact the mediator variable in order to cause a final impact on the dependent variable, which is in our case, intelligence. In SmartPLS, we use bootstrapping. Specifically, we may use consistent bootstrapping in case of reflective models and regular bootstrapping in case of formative models, okay? We check for the direct effects and the indirect effects, these statistics as well as the standard deviation in order to understand whether we have an effect or we have a mediation effect or not. All right, how do we differentiate between the direct and the indirect effects in this context? If we go to SmartPLS, let's go to SmartPLS and open our famous model by now. Okay, our TAM technology model here. Okay. Let me just show you here. What we're going to focus in this context here on perceived usefulness as the independent variable, attitudes towards using as the mediator variable in this case, and the actual system use. So we have perceived usefulness, this is independent variable. Attitudes towards using, this is the mediation variable. It goes in between these two variables, the independent and the dependent variables. Okay. So, and then as we run, this is a direct effect, one arrow and two variables, okay? Indirect effects, more than one arrow and one intervening variables among the others. Okay, in case of direct effects, the direct effects, we have one arrow and two variables. So this will impact this. However, once we go into indirect effects, we will have this and this and this. So this one, the perceived usefulness will be impacting actual system user through attitudes towards using. And now, once we run our algorithms, we search for mediation, not through the direct effects, through the indirect effects. Okay. Then we have full versus partial mediation. I'll explain this in a bit shortly. Okay, what a full and what a partial mediation would be. Okay, and we have multiple mediators. Multiple mediators, once we have perceived usefulness, okay, it will go through attitudes towards using as well as behavioral intention to use. So this is one mediating variable. This is another mediating variable. Okay, and this is another mediating variable. So in this case, we have the relationship or the impact, the effect of perceived usefulness is being mediated by two variables. And this is what we call here multiple mediation. Okay, this is what we call here multiple mediation. Okay, usually SPSS used not to show the mediation effect of one variable over the other in case of finding the indirect effects. It used just to show an indirect effect and then sum the effect or the t-value and show just all of them all at once. And then we used to use Daniel-Sober mediation calculator just to split the values among the two mediator variables and to understand how far this mediator impacts the dependent variable in comparison with the other mediator. However, the latest updates with SmartPLS now can show you the indirect effects and how much one mediation or one mediator variable may impact the other the dependent variable in comparison with the other mediator variable. Okay, as I mentioned, in SmartPLS, we use consistent bootstrapping to find the indirect effects in case of reflective models and regular bootstrapping for formative models. Okay, now we'll move into SmartPLS and I'll show you an application, get the indirect effects, show you the direct effects, and report them for your PhD thesis or even publications. So please stay tuned. Now we are in SmartPLS. Okay, let's just okay, I made the model a bit simpler here just to make it a bit simpler for you. We have perceived usefulness as the independent variable. Actual system use is the dependent variable. Attitudes towards using is the mediator variable here. All right. Let's see now. Okay, let's first just run our regular algorithms. Okay, calculate just consistent algorithms and see what we get. Okay, here we go. If we go to the total effects, indirect effects, we may okay, the specific indirect effects. Let's see. Okay, we have like the consistent, the algorithms, the PLS algorithms may show you some relationship or impact or role of the mediator variable. Like if we take here perceived usefulness, attitudes, actual system use, there is an indirect effect. Okay, so our hypothesis that we can support our hypothesis stating that the attitudes towards you using mediates the relationship between perceived usefulness and actual system use. However, the PLS algorithms are not sufficient. We have to go now back to our, it's just an indication, it gives you some sort of a hint. However, we have to go into consistent PLS algorithms and run the bootstrapping function. Okay, and this is what gives us the exact information and show the exact relationship here. Okay, that's bootstrapping and start our calculations for 1,000 samples here. Let's see what we get. All right. Okay, and this is what we report actually for our PhD dissertations and publications. Adding mediation variables to your structural models is really an important thing you may do, because it makes your model just more worthwhile studying, especially for PhD students. and it makes as well your model much more interesting for reviewers and readers. Okay, so I insist, or I encourage you to add mediators to your smart PLS model, or maybe even moderator variables. We'll come to those maybe in the coming videos. However, now we finished from running our bootstraps. Let's go to the total indirect effects first. Okay, we will see now perceived ease of use on the impact on attitudes towards using. We can find an effect here. And the perceived ease of use as well has an effect on actual system use. You see p-value support that, and the t-statistics is above 1.96. So, however, we need to see the indirect effects. So this is just the partial, and this is what I meant in my PowerPoint presentation, the partial versus the full mediation. Now here I'm looking at it from a partial perspective, just two variables at a time, okay? However, if we go into the indirect effects, specific indirect effects, and we want what? We want the relationship considering perceived usefulness, attitudes towards using, and actual system use, this one. The t-value is really good, above 1.96, and p-value is 0, and it's showing as green. So there is an indirect effects, and this will give us just a clear-cut evidence saying that attitudes towards using mediates the relationship between perceived usefulness and actual system use. However, I want to just go back to my model a bit. So perceived usefulness impacts actual system use. And we have what? We have, if we say, as well, behavioral intention to use. This is another mediator variable. Let's see. Okay, behavioral intention to use is another mediator variable, because as you notice, the arrow goes into this one, then into this one, and into this one, same as this one. Would be behavioral intention to use playing a mediating role as well? We can see. Perceived ease of use, behavioral intention to use the same, even it may have a stronger mediating because the t-value is higher. It may have a stronger mediating impact. Let's go into, this is a specific, okay, as you know, specific indirect. If we go into the specific, this is the specific indirect relationships. Okay, as I mentioned, so both variables show a mediating effect in this regards. Okay, now let's move to reporting. Okay, I have here the confidence intervals, and I don't need this confidence intervals. I need only those. Okay, so what I would need actually, okay, if I go into my Excel sheet here, I've prepared some. Okay, I put my hypothesis first, then the relationship that I'm studying. All right. I'll get the relationship in a bit. Okay, let me just copy into Excel format and just move it right in here. Okay, and then play with it. All right, maybe no. Let me just move it here. Okay, then perceived, what I care about is the perceived here. Perceived ease of use, okay, perceived, okay, attitude, perceived usefulness, this one, this is one. All right, let me take perceived, okay, and actual system use. Let me take this intervals first, put them right here. I wouldn't need those two, f squared, q squared. Let me delete those two. Okay, let me just delete those as well, and maybe delete those, all of them. Okay, attitudes, all right, and then a perceived, this one is copy, paste, and I have perceived ease of use into behavioral intention. Okay, behavioral intention, 1, 2, 3, 4, copy, and this is the second one. Let me imagine I have here hypothesis, maybe H X, H x2. Okay. And beta, all right, this is the original, okay, attitude. So 0.0 and the sample, this is the sample, okay, copy. And the t-value, I don't see the t-value here. We'll come to the t-value, find the t-value in a bit, okay. Let me go into SPSS, into SmartPLS. Why I don't see the t-value here? Total indirect effects shows the specific indirect effects. This is the t-statistics, okay? The t-statistics, why it didn't show in here? Okay, maybe. Okay, the t-statistics, let me just copy it. Okay, this is all I need. The t-statistics here. Perceive it into 4.2 into attitudes. No, attitude, no. This is perceived ease of use, perceived usefulness into this one. This is 4.567. So 4.567. And this one, the perceived usefulness, no, not this one, perceived usefulness. This is what I need. Okay, if I go back into my model, so perceived usefulness into behavioral, so it's 5.178. So 5.178. All right. So my decision is accepted. I have to get the perceived usefulness. That's not the one. So perceived usefulness. This is the one. So 0.098. So copy. And this is the one, V. Okay. And the perceived usefulness, behavioral intention to use, actual system use. Okay. And these two as well, copy. And these two, I put them already in here. Okay, and I have the t-value. The decision is accepted because t-value is above 1.96, above the minimum threshold, as well as the standard beta in our case here. How about the lower limit of confidence intervals and the upper limits? I simply get those, copy and put it here. And for the other one, is it perceived usefulness? This is the one. So 0.0, that's correct. Okay, so this is what I have here to report in our case. Okay, and all right. This is what I have to report. Simply, I can underline the table. Let me show you something here. This is the lower confidence interval, and this is the upper one. We can notice that the standard beta or the original sample falls in between these two, in this case, as well as in this case. Okay, we accept our hypothesis here, and we have a mediation effect, a full mediation effect among or between the perceived usefulness and actual system use, considering this mediator and this mediator. All right. As you notice, my fellow students, this video has covered almost everything in regards, or most of the things in regards to mediation effect in SmartPLS. Please hit the subscribe button and share our videos, and stay tuned for the coming video number 22 that will discuss the moderation effects or variables in SmartPLS. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.